You're listening to Be the Exception podcast, episode 163. Today, we are chatting with a former special educator who taught for over 25 years and her journey as a high school special educator that provided an opportunity for her to then write a book about her challenges, her successes, and all the things. So let's go ahead and jump on in to today's podcast episode.
Welcome to Be the Exception podcast. As teachers, each one of us has something that comes naturally to us that others would love to know more about. Throughout this podcast, we'll chat with amazing professionals and offer easily digestible tips that you can quickly implement in your classroom or business, helping you stand out with things you do really well. Your host, Dawn Ellis, is a qualified educational specialist with 10 years of special education experience, published journal articles, and was a state finalist for Elementary Teacher of the Year. Dawn provides tools for special education teachers to perform at their very best, helping deal with the frustrating daily obstacles of being an educator. She offers a roadmap of resources and strategies to make you a confident leader in your school and community. So if you're ready to start the conversation, learn from others, and grow together, you're in the right place. Now here's your host, Dawn Ellis.
Well, hey there, and welcome to another episode of Be the Exception podcast. My name is Dawn Ellis. I'm a special educator of 14 years, have been board certified, I have my ed specialist in special education, and I'm thrilled you are here for today's podcast episode. Today, we are chatting with Shari, and she is chatting with us about her role and journey as a special educator in a high school setting, particularly a self-contained setting, and the things that she felt like she thrived in, things that she felt like she could make a difference in, and how that took her on a journey to even write a book to help parents and teachers be more successful with their children or high schoolers that have special needs. So before we jump into that conversation, I just wanted to let you know that as we end this school year and start maybe even EYS services for our students, that we have some great things in the TPT shop for you that are done for you. They are print and go, from end of the year awards to summer coloring pages to all different kinds of EYS activities that the students will love, summer and beach themed escape rooms, all the things. Make sure and check out the TPT shop full of your different activities so that it can save you more time so that you can do things that you love most. All right, let's jump in talking to Shari. Hey everyone, today we have Shari Pierce, who is a retired special education teacher of 33 years. She taught high school special education and mainly with the self-contained classrooms. And she is here today because she's also a published author and here to chat with us about her journey as a special educator and what her book has in store. So help me welcome Shari. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. I'm so glad you are here today and here to chat with us. I'm excited to jump into this. So for any of our listeners who may not know you, give us a little bit of your background and let us know who you are.
Okay, I'm Shari. I'm originally from Yonkers, New York, and I was a special educator there for 33 years. And it's also the district that educated me. And I'm also the sibling of an adult with developmental disabilities. So because of Ricky, I decided very, very young, like 8 years old young, that I wanted to be a special educator. That was my only career plan. And I was really fortunate in life to be able to fulfill that. And I taught for 33 years in that same district, and mostly with middle and high school. There's mainly high schoolers with moderate to severe intellectual disabilities. My original plan was to only work with learning disabled kids, but you just never know what's going to happen. And when this opportunity came up, I said, well, maybe let's see. And I ended up doing that for 23 of the 33 years and absolutely loved every minute of it.
That's so awesome. I'm doing like kind of, I guess, the lower end of what you do, what you are doing. I'm doing the like moderate to severe self-contained for kindergarten through third grade. And so, yeah, I definitely feel you there. Like, wasn't necessarily what I thought I would be doing when I graduated college, but I still love it. So it's important to find something that you enjoy. All right, so you taught on for 33 years in a variety of different, I guess, or at least a couple of different settings.
Yes.
What are some things that when you weren't in the classroom that you enjoy doing beyond the classroom?
Beyond the classroom, my husband and I have an eBay business, and my big hobby is genealogy. I love doing digging and discovering in the family tree, taking walks with my enormous, sometimes misbehaving pup Charlie, getting outside. And since I retired, oh boy, I've been able to do more things like that, to find other things that I enjoy. I love to write, and I just and cook and bake, and just be able to do a lot of the things that I didn't always have time for. But my heart is still in education. I still keep in touch with my students and colleagues. So it's been really great.
That's awesome. Yeah, our little dog is named Charlie as well, so we have that
Oh,
in common. Okay, so anyways, let's chat a little bit. So you talked to us about how long you've been an educator. However, during those years, what was something that you learned along the way that you were just like, man, I wish I had known that sooner, or you wish you could impart on someone who's starting their journey as a special educator so they don't make maybe the same mistake you did?
well, I learned along the way, and it took me a long time to not be so hard on myself. Being a special educator is a tough job. And if you do it with an open heart, where you're just there to help children and work with the families, which is really important also, you're giving of yourself all the time. There's so many things. You think that you have something down, and then you find out that there are all kinds of other areas that you're expected to know, and you just can't know everything at once, and you're going to make mistakes. And when I was a new educator, every time I made a mistake, it devastated me. And that's a lot to deal with. And I learned finally that I learned more from the mistakes than from anything else. And that if I had just kind of given myself more of a break and let myself learn and seek help when I needed it, that it probably wouldn't have been as bumpy at the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Giving yourself grace, I feel like is such a key tip to being um, a successful special educator. And I mean, that's new and old because I feel like we have so much pressure throughout the day that we can often find ourselves feeling like, oh, I should have done more or I should have done this, living in that shouldville. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. It is. And I made, my first day teaching, I had gotten ready for weeks, making sure I had the perfect first day. And I had a schedule set with getting to know you activities and art activities and all kinds of great things. And I started teaching. And about 10 o'clock, the kids took a break from music and everything was fine. And I finished every great activity I had planned. I finished everything, and it was 11 a.m. And there were still 4 hours to go, minus lunch. And I was frozen, and I got through it, and I got a lot better at scheduling as the years went on. But I laugh about it now because it was a mistake. It was inexperience. Everything turned out okay, and I learned from it, and that was the main thing. And I went on to make all new mistakes instead of repeating
Exactly.
the old ones.
Yes, I feel like there's not been I mean, I'm just 13 years in, but I feel like there's never been a year that I haven't made a mistake or two or three, you know. So, but they become a little more refined, or, you know, you can pivot and tuck and roll a little
Yes.
easier. So yeah, awesome. Well, I would love to pick your brain a little bit about your role as a special educator with dealing with high school self-contained students or the moderate to severe. What are some action steps that you can share from your experience over the last 33 years of what teachers can do to help prepare their classrooms to be the most effective for those learners?
I think now in my case, I had the children, the young adults really, for 3, 4, sometimes 5 years. So that class, even more so than other classes, became a family. And that meant treating the children as if they were members of a family and treating their families as if they were part of that extended family. And when I remembered that, it made things a lot easier. It made things go more smoothly. The main crux of my class was working with the kids on life skills. So the kids all had some academic abilities, but that was not the main focus of the class. We worked on life skills. And one of the things, working with the families was I often asked the families, even though I had things prepared to do, what are life skills that your child is having trouble with at home? Let me hear what you need, because if you need it, someone else needs it too. And I got great ideas from a lot of my parents. The first one that comes to mind is one of my parents said, he has so much trouble opening the door if he gets home and I'm not outside waiting for him, using a key to open the door. I said, that's a great life skill. Let's start doing that in my class. Instead of my having my door open all the time, let's have kids learn how to use the key for the door and for the bathroom, and really look at the skills that they need to be productive citizens, as much as what that means for each individual.
That's awesome. Okay, so realizing or making them as family oriented, like inclusive as possible, having that family mindset, because yes, we do have so many of our learners for several years, not just one, and making sure we take the tasks that we ask of them, make them applicable to their everyday needs and what the families see as an area that is weak. What else did you find that is helpful for helping these learners throughout the few years that you've had them?
One of the other things too is I took activities that we were doing, and we did a lot of activities that were really hands-on, authentic activities, the kinds of activities where somebody who didn't really understand the class would go by and say, wow, this looks like a really special activity. And everything's special, but it wasn't a special activity as much as this is the work of the class. We might be cooking or getting our hands in something. And what I did a lot of was extending the life skills. So if we were having a picnic for whatever reason, even just if the reason was to have a picnic, but maybe it was to celebrate the end of testing or it was part of the behavior plan. So the picnic wouldn't just be, let's make sandwiches and have a picnic. No, there's a lot of life skills involved in that. Maybe we're going to talk about what kind of sandwiches we should have and go to the store and buy those ingredients and have a chart of how to make them. Maybe we need permission from the principal to go on the grounds and have a picnic. And if that's so, then we can practice social skills by going to the principal and asking in an appropriate way. Maybe we can go online and see what the weather's going to be next week. So we pick a day that's going to be a sunny day. And we have a plan B in case, as with all things in life, something goes wrong. And we talk about how to handle disappointments if the store doesn't have what you decided that we were going to buy, and socially and emotionally, how do we handle that? So there's all kinds of skills within a life skills activity, and I try to be mindful of that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that those are such great ideas and tips for our learners. What were you able to take community-based trips with your classes?
We were at times, and the harsh reality is in my district and a lot of districts, money is an issue. So transportation costs money, and sometimes we had to deal with the reality that our trips are going to be limited. Having said that, we found some great trips. Sometimes you write grants, and we had we went to a pizzeria where they let the kids go behind the scenes and make their own pizzas, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. The fire station. We tried for all kinds of trips, but when that wasn't possible, just like you might do at home, if your budget is limited and you can't take the kids to Disneyland, sometimes it's okay to take the kids on a nature walk around the neighborhood and get all kinds of valuable lessons out of that. And so we did a little bit of both. If I was teaching about transportation, we went outside for 10 minutes and found all the authentic, real transportation that was buzzing by us. So we did try to get out in the community as much as we could in one form or another.
Very cool. Awesome. So what did you find the most effective for vocational skills for your learners? Did you have a particular like curriculum, or did you kind of piece it together as a special ed teacher? I feel like so many times we do that when we can't find exactly what we like, or like how did you prepare them for their next steps?
I did a lot of piecing together. I became like the puzzle maker of special ed because there was not a really set curriculum in place. And my class, and this may be true for others, was more an exception to the school. We had a fantastic school setting, but it was a school that was mostly regular ed. And even the other special ed classes, most of them were kids who were not quite like mine, which made mine the exception, which was usually great, but sometimes a little isolating, where activities that were okay for other classes, I had to modify or change in some way or come up with new things. So a lot of it came from me, but I can't give myself that much credit. A lot of it came also from researching other places. I was looking at what schools were doing across the US. I mean, the computer, when I started teaching 33 years ago, I never believed we'd have computers in every classroom. It sounded so futuristic. But with the computer, I can look at a class in New Zealand and see what they're doing with their special needs populations. And over the years, I got better at coming up with ideas. And again, looking at family needs and just different kinds of creativity or seeing a need, learning, saying, boy, we're not really getting out to the store enough. I'm realizing that the kids are not really getting out to stores enough. Let's do a little bit more of that. And just grabbing onto things over the years and seeing what worked and what didn't, and somehow piecing it all together, things worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some resources that teachers can access or that you are aware of to help them, either teachers or parents, to work on these life skills, both at home and at school? Do you have any resources or know of any that can help educate themselves?
I think first, research online, look up life skills and take a look at different things that other people are doing. Also, take a look at your own day or your children's day, because there's lots and lots of things that we do that are life skills that we don't really think about because they just come so automatically to you. And or sometimes if we have special needs kids, whether they are our students or our own children, we don't think about having them do certain tasks because it's going to be a mess, or I can do it faster myself, or you just don't even think that it's something they could do. And if you go through your day and you go, wait a minute, I watered the plants, I opened the blinds, I took the tags off my child's new piece of clothing, I set out the recycling, I set an alarm on Siri to remind me I have to do something at 4 o'clock. Those are all life skills activities that are valuable for kids to know. I also did, in my retirement, write a book about for teachers and parents of intellectually disabled young people and the idea was that both parties, teachers and parents, they're working together to help these kids do all that they could in the life skills area would be valuable. So that's a good thing too. And
For sure. Yeah, and we definitely can kind of go into that. We have a few more questions, and then we can talk a little bit more about your book and kind of the benefits and what all you have in store and where to find it. But on those tough days, when the things just didn't seem to go right and all the things, what was the way that you as a special educator kept yourself motivated to hang in there for 33 years like you did?
I'll tell you, 33 years goes very quickly. And I said when I retired, I was talking to some of the teachers who had been there for less time than I had. And I did say something that others have said before me. The days sometimes go slowly, the years go quickly. And even in a day that is just everything's going wrong, the project you were doing for 6 weeks, somebody threw on the floor in a tantrum and all kinds of crazy things are happening, and there's a meeting that you didn't expect. Breathe, breathe, then breathe some more. And when you have a chance to finally decompress, even if it's just for a minute, thinking about kids who you had, and as special educators, we are really, really good at noticing small changes. I call them small miracles sometimes. Not the kid who came in as a non-reader and left there reading novels, but the kid who came in with his head down and is now looking at you, or getting the joke and smiling, and just writing the first letter of his name, even if writing the whole name isn't a realistic goal for now. So just remembering those small miracles that you were a part of. And I also, when I was lucky enough to get notes from kids or parents, even homemade Christmas cards, or a note from a parent, even scribbled on the back of an envelope, "Thanks so much, my kid's doing great because of what he's learning in your class." I kept all of them. And every once in a while, my ego let me take out that folder and just look and say, here is the big picture. You're doing good work, even if you're making mistakes and it's not perfect every day. You're doing good work for good people. And let's take another breath and keep on going. And that did help me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's totally a great perspective of how to kind of reduce that overwhelm and know that you're making a difference. So that's so powerful. All right. So as we kind of finish up, what is, like, over the past many years, what is your favorite school supply, even probably into retirement? Like 10 out of 10 will always bring a smile to your face.
We sometimes school supplies are really hard to come by, and I had a thing for big giant chart paper that I could write experience charts on, where all the kids participated, or poems, and you could just put them all over the room and then bring them front and center when you wanted to practice them. And I also loved Post-it notes that I used as bookmarks and little notes. And then one day somebody found for me chart paper. I may have been the last person to hear about this, but chart paper that really acted like giant Post-it notes, where you could just stick it onto the wall. And that, boy, the simplest thing. I was just so excited about that.
I know those are game changers. We use those in our room, and I think I have like 3 packs. So maybe I'm a fan of them too, but they are very versatile and super handy. But yeah, that was like the best of both worlds for you all together.
Yes.
I love it. All right. So as we kind of finish up the show, we talked about that you are a retired teacher and you have so much experience. So you took this experience and you compiled it all into a book to help parents and teachers. Tell us a little bit about the book, and where teachers can find it, and why they maybe should check it out this summer, and how it can help next year.
Thank you. I had always wanted to write a book, and I didn't really know if I had enough in me to do it. And then I kept going and going and going. And I came out with something that I really do think people will enjoy. It is not a clinical book at all. It is gentle, actionable advice. It's a long title. It's called Life Skills, a handbook for parents and teachers of the intellectually disabled. It has a nice bright cover. It has a lot of chapters, but for people who are busy and you have so much that you're looking at to start your new school year with, each chapter stands on its own. So nobody has to feel like they have to read the book front to back. You can pick out a chapter and get something valuable or something that'll make you smile. Everything from working with your aides, to dealing with class trips, to dealing with tantrums, to, all curriculum teaching patterns, colors, science ideas. And in the back, if you make it all the way to the back, or you just flip to the back, there is a play in the back, because I always did a fairy tale theater with my students, no matter what their functioning level was. And if you look in the back of the book, there is a play of Jack and the Beanstalk that is adaptable for children with moderate to severe disabilities who can put on a play and their parents can attend. And it's really a fun thing to do. It was the highlight of the year for me. So I'm presenting that in a book that I really hope parents and teachers will enjoy.
That's so cool. Yeah. Well, so where all can they find it? I know we can definitely link it in the show notes, but where else can the book be found?
It can be found on Amazon. There is a soft cover, a hardcover, or if you'd rather do Kindle, it is available there, and you can look at a free sample first to see if this is something that you might be interested in. So Amazon right now is the place to go for it.
Awesome. All right. So as we finish up, is there anything else you want to share with our listeners? I know we've had a great conversation just of how to be a better special educator for all of our students, especially those that are in the high school, kind of moderate to severe, like self-contained classrooms, making, those kids and the families, our family too, and creating that environment. Is there anything else you want to share today?
I would just I'd like to say hello to the people who I still consider my colleagues and thank you for all that you do for these very, very special kids and their families. Remember to keep the families in the mix, involve them in what you're doing, let them know what's going on because it makes stronger relationships. It makes the parents more comfortable. And when the parents are comfortable, it will make you feel better about what you're doing. So that's really just a step toward making a smooth year for everybody. And as we are getting close to the summer, I want to wish everybody a wonderful, restful, adventurous summer and the best of luck in the classroom when you come back for all of us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shari. And we'll link everything in the show notes. But thank you again for sharing all of your knowledge and can't wait to check your book out.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.